The European Foundation for Democracy and the European Policy Centre held an annual conference to mark the third anniversary of the 2016 Brussels terror attacks. 3 years after the Brussels attacks, radicalisation leading to violent extremism and terrorism continues to pose a serious challenge to the EU and other governments.
3 years ago, on the 22nd of March 2016, we had just launched the first event of the program on prevention of radicalization in cooperation with the European Policy Centre. That was the day of the Brussels attacks. They started at 8 and 9 o'clock. Our program was supposed to start at 10. We decided to go ahead and continue with our conference because we felt that we will not step down, we will not stop, we will not be intimidated by this form of violence. And since then, we continue to work on this topic, and an annual conference is a way not only of remembering the Brussels attacks, but also of convening experts, practitioners, individuals who work on these topics and are trying to address them.
My message mainly was that France had been ahead of the curve when it comes to radicalization. Now we've learned a lot from our trial and error process, developed a new public policy preventing radicalization with a whole of government approach, a whole of society approach, and we hope a whole of international community approach, especially counting on an agreement shortly in Strasbourg at the European Parliament on the European legislation on the takedown of terrorist contents within an hour. That was my main message. Let's stand together for a Europe that protects and actively support this draft EU legislation.
A lot has been achieved, a lot more needs to be done, partly because the phenomenon is so incredibly complex and sensitive, and there's no black and white answer. What we've seen with the Christchurch attacks of last week, we're not facing just one type of terrorist, not one type of violent and totalitarian ideology. White supremacism, terrorism is a threat, is a reality, and it's nothing new to those who've been working on these issues and in this area. The phenomenon of reciprocal radicalization is very real. I would say that the underlying element is the role that ideology, particularly totalitarian, violent ideologies, play in radicalization processes.